The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning and welcome to Guardian Radio AM. Today is Thursday, February 13th, and a little after 11 o'clock in the morning. Once again, this is C.A. Newry, and I shall be your host for today. I want to apologize for starting late. I was downstairs, and as I was about to come up, I saw 52. And 52 recognized me, and then he started a conversation. And, of course, if you ever heard 52 have a conversation, it takes a while. So I had to sit down and I listen and engage, and we go back and forth, and debating. And I said, I have a show to go now. And he said, yeah, but. And so, Lord, so I was listening to 52s. I enjoyed speaking to him. He made me forget exactly what I was going to talk about today. And I need to get him on the show just to have conversations. We used to talk about something about the MRI, Dr. Pinto and Dr. Pinto's show, and his comments about Dr. Pinto's guests, and we go in details. And 52 went in detail. And then I saw Erin downstairs. Hey, Erin, you coming up with me? And she said, who you was talking to? I was talking to 52. So she disappeared. So she's downstairs. So I don't even expect Erin to come up anytime soon, because she too is talking to 52. And we know how that conversation is going to go. So Erin like talk, as you know. 52 like talk, as you know. That can be a long conversation. Today we're going to have an open line Thursday. Today we're going to have an open line Thursday. That means that whatever you feel like talking, hopefully it makes sense. Lord, I pray it makes sense. You can call in, and I'd be happy to engage you and have an interaction with you about what is it that is going over in your mind, whatever is trending on social media. What is trending inside the news, you can call and talk about that. What is a proliferation of fake news? I thought it was an American thing, right? Fake news, especially as we move towards our general election, which is slated for next year, right? There are a number of news blogs. I'm using that news word in quotes, and I'm using it loosely, right? But they have media or news in their name. They're very popular. They're popular on social media. And mind you, they have so many different platforms. So it's not just one entity. It's on Facebook, of course, right? Which is right now the Bahamas' premier social media outlet where Bahamians interact with. They have it on Twitter. I forget what X. I think they call it X. Twitter, where they do snippets. They have it on Instagram. They have their own web site. And they are prolific. They even have it on WhatsApp now. When you have your news on WhatsApp, you know that there's no checks and balances or no one to challenge you. But we have a proliferation of online blogs, which Bahamians and foreigners are holding it to be real news entities, right? I had a friend said, Newry, if the place does not have a byline, which meaning that it's by whoever wrote the article, however, that's fake news or fake news mechanism. Just recently, we had the director of communication for the government, the director of communication for the government, Latre Raming, decrying the number or the proliferation of fake news agencies who spread propaganda and lies, coincidentally about the government, right? And about particular situations, right? Mind you, I do appreciate bloggers who do their own investigative journalism and bring new things that maybe the mainstream media has been ignoring. And because of public outcry, you see the mainstream media jumps on the bandwagon and do their own investigation. But the director of communication lists, I should have the list. He lists about 4 or 5 Bahama Times and Bahamas News Mobile. And he went through so many. And I'm noticing a trend. Any news blog that has the word Bahamas inside it, right? Once you see that word Bahamas inside that news blog, you have that as garbage, right? We know that's fake news. And I've seen videos, articles, which has the prime minister facing it, even the deputy prime minister facing it, even members of parliament, FNM, PLP faces in it. And they see their mouths moving, their voices, you hear their accent and voices, but it's not them. We know that this general election will have AI. Aaron Green has returned. How is 52? You okay? You talk to him?
Yeah.
I thought you wasn't coming up till about 11:45 because you know 52 like talk.
Yeah, you put the two of us together, it's a problem.
That's why I told everybody. The two of you all together, you were never coming upstairs.
But why you didn't do the thing?
What thing?
The AI thing?
To have you talk?
Yeah, you could have just pretend like I put some AI on and pretend like I was ill.
They will know it's not me because I wouldn't say stick a pin in it. But go ahead. We having a call-in show. What's trending inside the news? So anyone can call in and talk about what's trending. But I'm really talking about the Director of Communications decrying that there's a number of fake news agencies out there. Right, in terms of Bahamas News, but he called some names, Bahamas Times, right?
He called Bahamas Herald?
He called Bahamas Herald.
He did?
He didn't call Bahamas Press. No, he didn't call that.
He called BahamasUncensored.com?
He didn't call BahamasUncensored.com.
Oh.
Right? So he was selective. The director was selective with news blogs, what he called fake news. Mm-hmm. He's concerned about the proliferation of it and how it would impact the Bahamian government and governance, whatever it is.
I concerned too.
Go ahead.
I concerned with all of these publications that have Bahamas in the title.
That's what I said.
Yeah, every single
even
one.
Even Bahamas Uncensored, even though that's connected to a politician, that has some of...
Aren't they all connected to politicians?
Yeah, but Bahamas Uncensored have news of the Bahamas before mainstream media has it. Especially,
like it almost appears as if it is an adjunct of a ministry, right? Like it is a press machine for a specific ministry.
Bahamas Press also, that news agency also seem to be attached to the government. They tend to have news breaking.
But they can't be because
late breaking news.
Because not everything published there governments would publish, right? Like so it can't be. It appears to be, but it cannot be.
So who do you trust when you see that some of the news say, "Man, how come you all have this? This is good news. This seems like it comes from a source." But it's not an official news agency. But they get it before the regular news agency, as if they had a special interview.
It depends on what type of news it is. Yeah. Because, like if it's the type of news like the Bahamas establishes diplomatic relationships with a country in Africa, that's right. Like that type of news, they get it first and then...
disseminate it.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to that particular page to get the pictures to use it for the real media. Mm-hmm.
That's okay. It's the other type of news.
What other type of news?
It should not be published. Like that's it. That's the point. It should not be published. We can't even talk about it. But, right? Like my concern with some of these unnamed, they have a name, but like anonymous. You don't know who owns it. You don't know who funds it. You don't know who the author of any of the articles are. They don't attach names to it. These sites are problematic because sometimes they're actually posting good verifiable news, like things that you would expect a government agency or ministry to publish, right? Mm-hmm. And then sometimes they're just posting the most salacious foolishness that no government or government agency would want to be connected with. Yeah.
I want to ask you, in terms of why do you think Bahamians still follow these news blogs, knowing that it's not a trusted source, knowing that they practice yellow journalism, knowing that they ambulance chaser grabbers, just trying to get your attention,
This is fascinating. I think Bahamians are far more savvy than we would like to admit, right? Bahamians understand the value of information. I think Bahamians understand what is a verified source and what's not a verified source. I think Bahamians' position is I want access to as much information as possible, and I will discern what is true and what is not true. I think they understand they understand that something may be true, but I cannot say it in the public domain because I don't have the proof, right? So very savvy. We know that some of this is unverifiable in the public domain. Leave it up to me to determine what is truth and what is not truth.
Actually, let's stick a pin right there.
Yeah.
Let's move on from that print or that online blog where a person is writing to something similar that you and I do, talk show. We're not media. Mm-hmm. We do commentary about what's happening in the news. So every so often we get a good guest to interrogate their industry or their business or whatever it is or whatever it's not. But there's also online talk shows, online talk bloggers, right? There's one out of Eleuthera, there's several out of Canada, right? Say the most salacious things, and they call it investigative citizens blogging, where they pick a topic, right? And then they say they do investigative journalism. My problem is every so often they choose a person to expose, let's use that word. And they say all manner of things. No proof exactly. There's one guy living in Overtown, Miami, one Haitian Bahamian bite, right? Who say all manner of things about what I call dignified Bahamians who have no history of no ill mannerism. But we are quick to join in and say, yes, you're telling the truth. Mind you, the person, the blogger, has no history or integrity to say, well, okay, you've been doing this for a while and I appreciate what you're doing as a craft. They're not controlled or responsive by IRCA to say, well, if you say something out of the way, you know that there's some claim. They're out of the jurisdiction and they say all manner of things about people.
Are they out of the jurisdiction, or is it that no one has seen fit to use the law to seek recourse or to stop them?
Recently, we had a politician who said she's going to sue this next blogger who continues to do whatever she does. I'm not sure what happened. The person just stopped talking about the person. But they mention all manner of things about the person, the politician's personal life and whatever it is. And none of this could be substantiated. But this blogger went after the politician in their personal life with things that no one cares about. It's very salacious. But Bahamian people just ate it up and start cutting, pasting the clips and forwarding and saying, what does that say about us as Bahamians?
Again, I think let's not be quick to paint everybody with the same brush or to denigrate, right?
The blogger?
Not the blogger, the people who share information, the people who are watching, the people who are listening. Again, I think that even the average Bahamian knows that they don't just accept everything as truth when they see it or hear it. They do make a determination of whether it's truthful or not. Now, the question of promulgating it and sharing it, right, without like a caption to say, hey, look at this. I think some of it is true. I think some of it is not true. What do you think? They don't necessarily operate like that, but I don't think it's fair to say because people are consuming it and sharing it, that means that they believe it wholeheartedly, that they just accept it as truth.
Then what about the people who share dead people pictures? Like they came on the scene of an accident, a person was murdered, and they take a snapshot. And they said, especially when the victim's family is not aware. Okay. And then they start forwarding the pictures and they see, I was on the scene of this tragedy and I want to be the first. Do breaking news. They're always saying breaking news, Bahamas.
All right, so let's talk about this one. This is slightly different and nuanced, but I think it's worthy of interrogation. Like, why do people do that, right? Why they got to be the first? Why they got to capture this gruesome image? Why do they have to share it in this way? Well, okay, so first of all, people share it understanding that maybe the loved ones don't know yet, right? Mm-hmm. I think that people think that what they're doing is justified despite that could happen, that you may unwittingly reveal to a family member who didn't know, like this is when the first time they can see their loved one has expired, right, is no longer alive. But I think there's a fear within us, unarticulated, that our lives, to some people, our lives mean nothing, right? Like, the trope they say like teachers don't, or to employees, don't give your job your all, because if you die today, they'll have a replacement in a couple of hours, right? Like our lives are disposable, and that as we could be easily forgotten. And in that space, I think that people are documenting, right? I think some people, okay, like let's get very real. We are a trafficking in persons hotspot globally, right? The Bahamas is a trafficking in persons hotspot. What does that mean, like culturally? Well, what it means, I tell you what it means. Remember when Hal Taylor, Thaddeus McDonald, Wellington Adderley, Paul Wiley, Marvin, I think Wilson was his name? All those men were killed from November, I think, 2006 into June 2007. During that period, a number of individuals reached out to me privately and anonymously to just share. Some of them is just heavy on their heart. And one gentleman said to me, he said, Green, I want you to know that I'm in my 50s now, and there's so many men that I've known that have just disappeared. Like, I have no idea where they are. They're just gone off the face of the earth. He said, we don't know if they've been unalived. We don't know if they attempted to smuggle themselves into another country and were killed or detained. They don't know if they successfully smuggled themselves into another country and changed their identity, right? But how it's like fleeting life is. And so in some sense, people are documenting this life in this moment. You're not going to be forgotten. You're not going to be invisibilized. Now, here's another perspective as a gay rights advocate, right? Someone who's experienced violence. And I tell people all the time, if they murder me, y'all better put them pictures everywhere.
Oh, not like the missing trans lady.
No, I'm saying if the images are gruesome, if somebody murders me, if somebody kill me, and the images are gruesome, put them everywhere.
Okay.
See, you uncomfortable in the moment with the thought of it, the discomfort of having to look at it. But I don't want nobody to forget what they did to me if that's what they did to me.
I look at the murder pictures. I just let you know. This is open.
See, and that's the point, Newry. Because of our own discomfort. Because of our own discomfort, we're prepared to invisibilize and forget the experiences of others.
I understand. This is an open line Thursday. I'm here with Aaron Green, right? The phone numbers are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. And of course, if you want to text us, is 422-4796. I see the call is coming in now, and then I have a couple of texts to read. Like I said, we were able to entertain whatever conversation we're talking about. And of course, we'll talk about Aaron and the missing men. Still. But no, let's go to the caller, Aaron.
I see. To the caller, but
go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM.
Great show as usual, CA and your guest.
Yes, morning.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the growing housing crisis that's blooming in the Bahamas based on the fact that all these tariffs going on steel and other building materials, right? People, my problem is people don't want to be in apartments all their lives, right? But the reality of the situation is that the grim reality is that they can't afford a house. Now it's going to become more difficult to get an affordable house, if there's such thing nowadays as an affordable house, based on the fact that the land itself costs approximately about $100,000 and some $1,000, and that's not even the buildings yet. To construct a house, a reasonable sized house, you're looking at about probably $175,000 to $200,000. So at which point a Bahamian or a citizen of the Bahamas is going to be able to afford a house now or in the near future. This is the problem, and this is going to get crazier as the years go by because things are going to become more expensive.
It's going to get even crazier because I'm looking for the article with Keith Bell.
Yeah, look for it. I think it's for today also. But let me ask you, caller, have you, and it doesn't seem our government is entertaining it, have you considered having smaller houses, right? Smaller property instead of a 60 by 100?
Come on now. See, the next reality is, right, us Bahamians live above our means, which means that who want any small properties?
Now, picture this.
You know Bahamian dream is a big house?
But let me picture this, right? You cannot afford a house. And instead of getting a 60 by 100 property, you get a 40 by 40 and you build up a,
Okay,
those small houses where there's a loft.
So
Instead, 1 minute for me, caller. 1 minute for me, caller.
The Bahamian citizens in the doghouse.
Caller, 1 minute for me. You know those small houses where you say have the living room and kitchen and the bathroom is at the bottom, and on top is a loft? It's very popular in the United States. A number of Bahamians like it in terms of, hey, I want a house like that because how it's constructed. Imagine you being 23, 27 and purchase a house with property, smaller property, for $70,000, which is a typical Honda car, right? And you pay that off within 15 years. Now you're a homeowner without any taxes towards it. You then go to the bank in 15 years, because now you say you start from 21, you're now 35, 40, and you can put that house as collateral to get a bigger house. And you ain't 45 yet. And you say, man, I'm a property owner. I don't have no one owning that at all. And using your house as a rental or income house. And you move from one step to the next size house. And another 15 years you do it again and flip it. You don't think Bahamians would be willing to do that?
Mr. Newry, honestly, when we said 40 by 40, I even stopped in your conversation.
So you rather not have nothing at all?
Let's be reasonable now. You want us to live basically in a doghouse. That's what you're trying to say. Because if the property 40 by 40, right, and the ministry setback requirement is 25 feet from the front of the road, 20 in the back. For a single story is 8 feet on each side, and a 2-story is 10 feet on each side. What you supposed to build on a 40 by 40?
Like I said, you go every ever. I'm not sure if you travel to Europe and England. 40 by 4 is a mansion in England. Their houses are smaller.
In New York,
In New York, too.
is a mansion in Manhattan City. You can,
Yeah.
And Bahamians are living there now in New York and in Europe, and say, man, I'm happy with this. And you saying that Bahamians in Nassau who don't have any place to live won't be able to be satisfied with that as a starter house?
I'm telling you, Bahamians we live above our means. No. The reality is we will not be satisfied with that. You know, we say bigger is better.
Yeah, man. So in the meantime, you live with your parents since you own that 40.
So that's the reality situation. That's why now it can become a problem. Getting a house is actually a problem now. You realize that you have to have a dual income to purchase a house and a property nowadays.
You're like this. You're like this.
You have to get married just to get a house.
You're like this. Y'all have been voting in successive governments.
It's nothing but love and equation. You have to meet an individual nowadays just to get married, just to get a house.
But let me ask you a question. What's wrong with living in the house with your parents, especially when they become senior citizens and they need somebody living with them?
You know what's wrong with that? When your woman come over, you ain't closing that door.
I don't know how Bahamians, because either you're going to live in a house together and figure it out, or everybody going to be living on the beach together and have to figure it out.
That's what I'm saying. This is a problem.
I still believe that 40 by 40 is a good idea. But thank you very much, caller. Let's go to move to the next one. Producer, patch the next call for me, please. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM. This is an open line Thursday. You can talk about anything you want to talk about, man. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Newry.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm okay. And Miss Green. I just have two little comments that I'd like to discuss with you guys. Mm-hmm. Have you been experienced? Now, I don't go out at night, but sometimes I get caught out at night coming in, and I find that the lights on the road, you remember years ago, they used to have where when you buy an American car, you had to get the light shift to the left. Mm-hmm. Remember?
Yes, ma'am.
Karen?
Yeah, we had a caller call in a couple of weeks ago about that, and he indicated what the problem was, that the lights are not being shifted properly once imported into the country.
Right. And you know something, Aaron? Mm-hmm. That causes a lot of accidents. I see people run literally off the road, almost in the ocean, because cars and the big trucks with the big light on the top and the big bright light to the bottom.
Yeah.
We need to go back to see some of the things that we forgot as Bahamians in this country. I refuse to give up on them because they work. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, my next thing that I wanted to say. The gentleman who was on the phone a minute ago, it ain't what you make. It's what you do with what you make. Mm-hmm. You will go out there if the bank is offering a good deal on a car and you spend $20,000 on a car. But why not put living room, dining room, kitchen, and bedroom and bathroom down on one floor?
There you go.
And when you could do better, you go up.
There you go.
I don't know where they get this thing from that Bahamians want to live large and in charge. Mm. No, that's not true. Bahamians would be quite happy with some of those small English homes that I lived in when I was there. I felt so connected with the family there.
You know what a big part of our problem is? Uh-huh. We don't want to live with people because we don't want to be reasonable.
Yeah, and then why you have to wait till you get married to get her salary and your salary? That's not a man. My daughter just got sorted out with her family, and guess what? He put her in a house, the two of them paying off their bills.
God is good.
Come on. Mm-hmm. Men, take advantage of your life. God gave it to you. Work hard. Things will be accomplished. Even if you started in a little clapboard house, it's yours. You'll be surprised to know not everybody in the Bahamas has a high school education or a college education.
Mm-hmm. But should be able to own a home.
I don't have one.
Yes.
But my kids all went to boarding school in the States and England. Mm-hmm. Okay? You know why? Because I didn't go out and buy Gucci shoes and Gucci belt and all of these things. I know where my priorities were. Mm-hmm. I was going to give my kids that my mother couldn't give to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And today, none of them depended on me.
Good for you.
So don't keep they don't keep desecrating Bahamians. That Bahamians like to live large and charge. Yeah, everybody want to live well, but those people who are living well, they contribute to how they are living. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And don't keep looking at what somebody else do. You do what you need to do.
Thank you very much, caller.
That's what it is. You guys have a great day, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We have all the lines are lit up. Let me read this first. It says, good morning, CA. I have a question for you. Will the government be removing the tracking number from the ballot for the 2026 general election, as was recommended by the international observers who were observing the last elections? My vote cannot be free and fair if they know how I voted. Let's talk about it.
Tell them send a link to the article or the policy, the article or the report where the international observers recommended removing the tracking number. So here's the thing. We have virtually secret ballots in the Bahamas, right? It cannot be secret because then how do you investigate fraud, voter fraud? Right? How do you determine if somebody has voted multiple times or in the wrong constituency? So we don't have a constitutionally guaranteed secret ballot. It's virtually secret. Mm. Yeah.
Let's go back to some of these callers. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM. We have an open line Thursday. We talk about anything you want to talk about. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm calling to find out when would the people of Winn-Dixie City Market be paid their pension and severance money?
Lord have mercy.
I've them for 18 and a half years.
You may have to lobby our prime minister. Our prime minister is responding. You see how he responded to the black box in the Dundas just by them complaining and having a raffle? Perhaps you need to just go and protest or stand up.
I've been there.
When last you do that?
I've been there.
When last you do that?
The matter has been in court for over 12 years. Nothing has happened.
You said you've been to the prime minister this year, you said?
Yes.
The matter's still before the court?
Yes.
You get a lawyer? Y'all have a lawyer? Y'all have a legal team? Y'all need to speak to your legal team?
You know, there are a lot of people who died from City Market who never got their pension.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, their children might get it, but they'll never get it.
Y'all need to push the issue.
But this can be solved by the prime minister. Someone needs to lobby the prime minister. Go and visit him
went
like
to see
the
him
unions.
twice I went to see him on 3 different occasions.
That ain't enough. That ain't enough.
So I hear you, and keep on calling and talking about it to remind the powers that be that y'all still exist.
Y'all got to be like indigestion. You just pop up when nobody expecting it.
Yes. Let's go to the next caller. Let me read this before I speak to the next caller. It says, CA, a 40 by 40 foot home is for $150,000, and that's in the ghetto. That's not true. You could go get a 3-bedroom government home now for $90,000, right? 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom. So definitely a 40 by 40.
3-bedroom with 1 bathroom?
Yeah, there's 1 bathroom is given for government houses. But they have the marble countertop too, and they have the hurricane windows. It's a trade-off. $150,000. You get that. Our Wack homes you can pay almost $200,000. But that you get an extra bathroom for that though. But you can hear your neighbors. You can hear them neighbors. Anyway, let's go to the next caller. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, good morning to you, Newry, and good morning to you, Ms. Green.
Good morning.
First, let me say, Green, you're right. We don't have secret ballots. We have private ballots where you have protection, and supposed to be after the election has been certified without contesting, they're supposed to be destroyed. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know exactly. I know there was a court case by, he's a singer. He plays a multiple instrument that he sued. But believe it or not, that case has now, what he sued about, the case has never been addressed. I can't remember his name. I don't on the tip of my tongue. I'll text it to you. But he sued concerning a privacy ballot probably about 20 years ago or longer. And there are some recommendations by the court concerning some things, but it has not been addressed since then. Mm-hmm. And digitization would basically solve those problems, because when you have on a blockchain or something else of that sort, and the fact that you have a smart, almost like a smart contract rules for governing and protection of data, the computer will not allow any modification or variation of access. And the beauty about digitization is that, every single file touched or read by anybody in the Bahamas, and that's supposed to be, it would actually keep a record of it. Let's use an example in Estonia. A politician was tried and convicted, I think it's Estonia, because the doctor was tried and convicted because he looked at the medical records of the politician. He didn't do anything with it. He looked at his record, but he didn't have the consent to look at it. Mm-hmm. And he was charged with violation of the privacy laws because the computer keeps the log.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk on this, 2 things. First of all, the truth in numbers. The Deputy Prime Minister says that we don't have the rooms. At any given time in the last 10 years, you can go. Are you there? Sorry.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Yeah, anytime in the last 10 years, you can go and look at the occupancy from 2010 to 2019. We roughly stayed within the 65 to 70% occupancy on average. And this is just the data I went and pulled up when he said that. The decline in 2020 happened when we went between 28 and 30%. In the partial recovery of 2021, we went from 38 to 40% occupancy. In 2022, we rebounded to 60 to 62%. In 2023, which I made it so far, I'm going to do 2024, we had around about 66% and averaging 70% during peak periods. The point I make for you is that if you have 30% or 1/3 of your rooms unoccupied, and you have 2 million people, or 1.8, let's round it to 2 million people coming, that tells me that you have room for 1 million more people because those rooms are empty. So this concept or statement that, we don't have enough rooms is a fallacy.
So you don't believe in building no more hotels then?
No, I do. But I'm saying to you, I don't believe in building no more hotels. What is happening is that we have not built an environment, what is called a destination environment, where people would come to the Bahamas to experience more than sun, sand, and sea. Now, I can tell you during our previous, in 2009, I did a survey for an international company again in 2017. What they said is that we offered 4 things: sun, sand, sea, and service. And they said then that we no longer provide service. We only now provide sun, sand, and sea. And part of that scheme was in the inclusionary thing of the mandatory tipping, or whatever it is that we do, that vehemence. And it also said we should do a research on this, that the revenue, when we had service versus mandated or inclusionary thing for this 15%, that the individuals made more money.
So what we can do, C. Allen, because all the phones light up, I want to have a whole conversation on this topic altogether about the numbers. So what we'll do, I'll plan a day for that.
But let me just tell you, the housing problem we have, just be 90 seconds on this one right here, right? And I know you talk about the government $150,000 home, but when you talk about a $150,000 home, you now have to have an income of $4,500 a month to qualify for that home based on minimum standards here in the Bahamas. And so that when you bring that as you times that by 10 or times $4,500 a month by 12, you'll see that even the average Bahamian itself can't. But we don't have a housing crisis. We have a housing affordability crisis. And when you talk about 40 by 40, simply changing the law to a zero-lot line can allow you to easily build 1,300 square feet on the first floor. Or you put 1,000 on the first floor, 1,000 on the second floor, and 1,000 on the third, or whatever you say for the loft. And so, that simple a law change to allow zero-lot lines that you talk about, or even minimizing the offsetting, whatever. It's a fire safety thing. But here's what happens. If we actually begin to look at the housing affordability crisis in the concept of the four different housing regime that doesn't meet luxury, which is social housing, low cost housing, affordable housing, and attainable housing, we can solve the housing crisis, especially when you combine it with the fact that you need 30,000 rooms, if you need 30,000 bed and breakfasts, and you need 30,000 homes. It seems to me that's a total of 60%. So what if we start combining a modeling of combining where people can be financed for bed and breakfast, which could easily bring $3,000, $4,500 a month to pay for both their homes, whatever, or we have a multiplex where we build houses we need to redesign. So you should have a show on housing alone, because this is something I've been talking about for like 7 years on the Hard Back on the same show.
Okay, thanks for Mercia. Thanks. Let's go to the next caller there, Kermit. This text says, good morning, good day, Aaron and Newry. When will the citizens of the Bahamas get hard voters card? Could you tell, please? We got the license and the NIB cards. Now we need the hard voters card. You think we're getting it this year, this election?
No.
Okay, let's go.
Only because they can't afford it.
Yeah, especially the license plates thing. Go ahead, caller.
How you doing, guys?
Doing well.
Morning.
Good. Listen, I'm just following up on what C. Allen said. As it relates to hotels and the stopover visitors here, I think the aviation, the guy from the Rhode Island Development Board, Tourism Board, when he called for more cheaper plane flights into here, and then the Deputy Prime Minister came behind him and said, that's not the main issue as it relates to get the stopover visitors. Mainly, it's getting the connection flights to get into these family islands, because it costs more. You got to get to Nassau, and then you got to spend more money to get into the family island.
Imagine if they maintained the international airports on the islands to a standard where international flights could land.
Exactly. And then, Aaron, and then also Deputy Prime Minister also spoke to more inventory. Listen, man, I think our issue is we stuck at that 1.7 because in reality, this destination is lacking because Jamaica, Dominican Republic, people, it costs more to go to those places. It's cheaper. When you get there, the experience is better. You get a lot more stuff to do. It's all about perceived value of what I'm paying for. Our trajectory in this country is just luxury. So you cannot expand the tourism. You cannot have tourism growth just on luxury.
So two things.
You have to offer diverse products for you to expand, to get more people in here. And basically, you have to give incentives for people to come and build hotels. It's expensive to build here, right? The taxes are high. The cost of energy is high. The ease of doing business is high. So, hotels come in here to build. That's why we have difficulty attracting small, medium-sized hotels. And then you ain't encouraging Bahamians to go and build boutique hotels.
Okay.
What incentive? If I got 10 acres of land and I want to do a boutique hotel and I want to... you should empower me as a government to say, hey, go and build 10 rooms here. We can help you do this. That's what Dominican Republic is doing.
I'm surprised that
Thank you very much, Colin.
I'm surprised that y'all haven't gotten together, the Out Island Promotion Board, all y'all small tourism vendors, y'all haven't gotten together and asked the government whether y'all have to sue them, because it appears as if, right? It appears as if they are disadvantaging Family Island tourism stakeholders and small and medium-sized stakeholders, right, to cater to those tourism elements that they think give them the best return on their investment. Because I want you to know, the government is into high-end tourism, and then you got the cruise ships. And y'all better figure out everything else in between.
Looks like we need to continue this call-in show for tomorrow. Go ahead, caller.
I want to make
Go ahead.
food security, because I'm asking this because everyone in the Bahamas has been touched with a family member that has been affected with cancer or some type of health-related disease or ailment. What in the world is in these foods we're eating? People want to eat healthier, right, and live healthier lifestyles, but the reality situation is eating healthy is extremely expensive.
You have a farm, sir?
Pardon me?
Do you have a farm?
Farm? No, sir.
You need to do backyard farming, man, to help yourself.
Yeah, because you ever try to go in the food store and purchase fruits, vegetables, or even organic items?
I know it's pricey.
Yeah, the price is a little crazy.
I appreciate you, caller, and I agree with you. I agree with you. Producer, let's go to the next caller. Go ahead, caller. Open line, Thursday.
Good afternoon, Newry, and good afternoon, Aaron. How you all doing?
Good day, good day.
Okay, and good morning to the nation. Look, not the last caller, but the callers, the two callers before the last caller, was providing a lot of misinformation. First and foremost, the ease of doing business is not a difficulty for any foreign direct investor coming into this country. Aaron and Cecil, in particular you, Aaron.
What about the set that threatened to sue for their $1 million because we couldn't figure out what terms we put in our own contract?
That's actually not even so. I have some knowledge on that, but I didn't call to talk about that today, right? Ease of doing business is not an issue for foreign direct investors in this country. As a matter of fact, the Red Sea is parted for them, right? And they have full access, right? And easy access in this country. As a matter of fact, they have too much access, and they have it too easy when they're doing business in this country, which is why we find that the benefits that are being derived from tourism are not going to locals, are not going to citizens. Most of the money continues to go outside of the country, and we get very little value added. Now, I note that persons like C. Allen continue to make this false argument that as it relates to our tourism room numbers, right? We aren't expanding on or taking advantage or capitalizing on what we have currently. Therefore, we don't have a problem with the amount of rooms that we have. That's actually false. That's a completely false narrative. As a matter of fact, if you understand how the tourism industry works in seasons, as you should know, Cecil, because you worked in the industry.
So the problem is hold on. So the problem is marketing. The problem The problem is they can't market those beds.
Let me just go to these points quickly. As it relates to tourism operates in seasons. You can have up to 100% occupancy in the winter season, and in the summer season that could fall off tremendously, right? And so there are spikes and there are lows, all right? And so it has nothing to do with expanding the amount of persons that come into the existing hotels. We do need more inventory, and the more inventory we can add to the current existing inventory, the more heads and beds we can get in those peak periods where many of the major hotels do see 90, 95, 98, 100% occupancy.
All right.
As it relates to...
Okay, Anton. Okay, hold on.
One more point.
Hold on.
Huh?
So what you're saying is that we should know that tourism is seasonal and that we're going to have a significant number of beds empty at specific portions of the year.
Absolutely.
But we should still focus on building more beds for tourists for the peak season, knowing that we'll have more beds unoccupied at a time where Bahamians are demanding that somebody build houses for Bahamians?
Because Aaron, the bottom line is this, okay?
As opposed to a strategy of marketing the off-season better?
Before the time runs out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the tourism model is set up as such that those, when they make their money in the peak period, that is more than sufficient to carry them over for the low period. That's how the tourism model is designed.
You're like
okay?
you're like
And
bad
the
models
final
then.
point- the
You,
final
you're
point I
like
wanna make,
to
Aaron,
perpetuate
the final
bad
point-
models.
Aaron, the final point that I want to make, it's also a fallacy. The numbers that Sea Island is providing, it's untrue. The numbers you are providing as to what it takes in order for you to qualify for a home. If you are going the regular course through a commercial bank for a low cost home, costing around say $150,000, the required salary will vary based on your input, meaning based on what you put into that project right off the start, and also based on the interest rate, and also based on the time frame, right? But if you look at an average scenario, you don't need any more than $3,000 to $3,400 per month in order to do it through a regular situation. However, when you're going
Hold on. Did you say $3,000 to $3,400 a month on a mortgage payment?
Through a regular situation.
Hold on. So you telling me?
Rate.
Hold on. So you saying, yeah, man, cool. You go to the bank, you pay in $3,000 to $3,400 a month on a. Hold on, Antoine. Just answer the question. You telling me that y'all out here paying $3,000 to $3,400 a month on mortgage payments?
That is what your salary should be in order to qualify for such a mortgage when you include your insurance. However, Aaron, the real point that I want to make is this. When you're going through the government of the Bahamas partners with you to make it as affordable as possible. You don't require that kind of salary when you're going through the government.
So they don't make it as they don't make it as affordable as possible. They make it as accessible as possible.
Affordable and accessible.
No.
Aaron, both of them.
Tomorrow we'll have another open line Friday, so everyone can call in and join in. Today's show was sponsored by Click. To say join us on Saturday, March 1st at Smugglers Square for an epic celebration of the 2024 Boxing Day, 2025 New Year's Day Jungle winners to Saxon Superstars. Enjoy the music by Playhouse DJs Lil Giant and DJ Tank, and performing live Fanshaw and D-Mac. This has been Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Newry. Thank you very much, Aaron Green. Tomorrow we can have fun with open line again.
As opposed to y'all just market in the off season better. Market better for the off season.
So many texts. Have a wonderful day.
Just sign in and have a seat, please. They'll call you in for your x-ray shortly.
That's why they call it a waiting room. You won't have that problem at Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor. We never schedule multiple appointments, so you'll be in and out in no time. And if your initial screening reveals a concern, our radiologist can conduct an alternative screening right then and there. Call 328-8157 to schedule an appointment at Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor today.
Alpha Sounds Promotion presents Back to Love, an unforgettable evening of smooth R&B vibes and cherished memories. Join us at the Nassau Cruise Port on Saturday, February 15th for a spectacular all-white affair featuring live performances by soul sensations Freddie Jackson,
Hey everybody, it's Freddie Jackson. I'm coming to Nassau, Bahamas, and we are looking forward to the night of love.
Also performing Regina Bell. Also featuring Bahamas' very own Essence Band. Back to Love, Saturday, February 15th. It's a spectacular all-white affair at the Nassau Cruise Port. Get tickets online. BahamasEtickets.com. Plantation Bar and Grill, Big Boys Cafe, and Tropics Bar and Grill. For more info, contact 822-6863.
And I hope to see you there.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.